But what's really interesting in adolescence is that this is where we are finding our identity. With the biological and mental changes, there is the identity crisis that comes. And this is the role of adolescence. This is what it's all about. And this is what makes it so tricky. Finding out who you are and what you stand for is not easy at the best of times. Now, I said to you earlier on, I do a lot of coaching, and I happen to see a lot of leaders now, and I see some adolescents for coaching, and I admire those adolescents who come because they want to explore who they are. But I often find many leaders are still grappling with some of these issues. What am I talking about? There are 3 key questions that you need to answer in adolescence. And maybe you didn't know you had to answer them, but you basically had to. You had to figure out 3 things. Who am I? And that's a hard one. Where am I going in terms of career and future? And who are all these people around me and how do I connect with them? My peers, my family, if I have a part-time job, who are those people? That's what identity is all about. Now, you don't have to be a genius to work out this is tough stuff. You've been on the planet 15 years, 14 years, 16 years, whatever it is. And you've got to start to ask these questions. These are big questions, really big questions. And what's happening is, interestingly enough, if as an adolescent you don't get to answer those effectively, it actually comes back to bite you as an adult, and it's called something along the lines of a midlife, yes.
Or a quarter life crisis.
Or a what? Or the quarter life crisis.
That's the latest thing I've heard.
Is it?
About 25, 30.
Oh yeah, I call that the troubled 20s.
Okay.
I see a lot of troubled 20s. Yeah, there's a quarter life crisis too. Yeah, and typically that one is about that question there. They get really confused because they've done the uni bit, they've gone out for a year or maybe 2 and they go, is this all there is? You know, I study for this? I mean, give me a break. Oh, no. So that one there is often the one I find for the troubled 20s. But the midlife crisis is normally all of that. When people are going, whoa. I remember I mentioned I lectured at the University of Queensland for a while, and I remember there was a wood turner way out the back of Beenleigh, and there was a little path we had to go through to drive to get to see this wood turner in this little hut right out in the scrub, and went out there and said hello to him, and I said, what did you do before this? He said, I was the chief engineer at Perry Engineering. I went, this is a bit different. He said, yeah, he said, I should never have taken engineering, but Dad wanted me to. He said, this is my real love, always has been, and now I'm wood turner. I went, oh, wow. So he eventually got there. I mean, that's a fairly dramatic change. And although I did have a lawyer who was a partner in a law firm about 6 months ago who came to me and he said, I've had it. He said, I'm done with this. He said, I'm going to pull back to 3 days a week. He said, I'm burnt out. He said, I don't like what the job's done to me. And he said, I've lost who I am in this job. My personality has changed, this whole litigious society. He said, I've lost it. And he said, I want you to coach me into a new kind of direction. He said, I don't know who I am anymore. And he said, I've lost contact with my family, and they've lost contact with me, and I've lost contact with my kids. And he said, I just can't do that anymore. So what's interesting is at the same time the adolescent is going through the identity crisis, mum and or dad are having a midlife crisis. I mean, what an interesting scenario. It's amazing we all make it, but we are in fact fairly resilient, and we do make it, and we make it really well. But interesting, during this period of identity, we're trying to work out who we are, and we try on various roles, whatever those various roles might be. And we want to be different from our parents, so we wear different clothes, we listen to music that generally, for most parents, means that it kind of starts to make the fridge defrost, and or the wallpaper starts to come off the wall at some of this music. But these adolescents want to be different. The danger is they want to be too different, and they get into into strife. But the playing out of roles is what it's all about, but we want to hopefully make sure that they don't do anything too dangerous. So, because they've only known the roles close to them, they only know what their mother and father or carers look like. So they will test and they will try out and they will experiment, but and that's always a parent's fear, that the child will go and do something that's really risky. Most kids don't, but there's always that risk at the back of your head. Oh my goodness, what if they did? How would I be?